Hey, welcome to another episode of Digital Dental Marketing Made Easy. I'm Natalia Porras, founder of MP Marketing. And you're in the right place if you're a dentist or a dental specialist and you want to learn more about online marketing in general and how it could help you grow and build your own practice. In today's video, I am actually interviewed by my friend and colleague Milan Kowalewski, and I'm going to be talking about the 3 top success factors in social media.
Well, hey there, Natalia. Thank you so much for joining me on the Online Marketing and Media podcast. We've been talking for a while of getting to know each other a little bit. So I am so pleased that you are finally able to come on my show.
Thank you so much for having me here, Milan. And I'm so happy. I've been also looking forward to this because we have been talking about this for quite a while. So here we are.
Absolutely, absolutely. So before you introduce yourself, I know we had just recorded another YouTube video for your show, but I just want to let my listeners know that I am at my parents' home with Tulsi. She's here next to me, and usually she has her dog walker, but obviously not at my parents' home. So hopefully she won't bark, but if it's a baby bark, we might just keep it rolling. Just throwing it out there.
And I must say, I have Nella, who is my
Yes.
black lab. And as I was telling Milan, if yours starts barking, mine will bark too.
So this could
Double
be
the fun.
total catastrophe at some point, but that's okay. We'll roll with it. We'll roll with it.
Exactly. We'll go with it.
So can you tell a little bit about yourself to my listeners?
Absolutely. So my name is Natalia Porras. I am the founder of NP Dental Marketing, which is a marketing agency that specializes in dental marketing. We do only online, actually, online marketing specifically. And I was introduced to the dental world many years ago when I used to work at the Faculty of Dentistry at McGill University. And it was then that I actually figured out that dentistry was at an infancy stage completely in terms of its marketing. It was very backwards, I would say. I then left the Faculty of Dentistry to complete an MBA. And when I completed my MBA, I took a leap into entrepreneurship and started my own firm. And it was then that I was contacted by some of my previous colleagues at the Faculty of Dentistry to help them out with marketing. And one thing led to the other. Then I started to help other dental practices in the city that needed help with marketing. And finally, we actually made a conscious decision to specialize in dentistry for online marketing. And that's how NP Marketing was founded.
Oh, very, very interesting. And for my listeners, I just want to let you know the reason I wanted Natalia to come on here is because I think she does such a great job with her social media. And obviously, our industries are similar here. And even if you're not a dentist, we have a lot of people I know listening to the podcast here. I think what we're going to be talking about today is such a universal concept for any type of business owner that's out there. So I'm so excited for us to dive into this. But I was just curious, could you talk about possibly what are some of the big mistakes that you see dental practices making out there with their marketing?
So big mistakes. I think I've seen a number of different mistakes. I was talking about this with you actually before.
Right.
Number one mistake is jumping into tactics before having an actual strategy. I think that's one big mistake. Just trying to say, let's go after this or that, or just like a list of things that their competitor is doing, which might not work for you if you think about it. So my recommendation always is start off with a marketing strategy or plan before jumping into tactics. So that's one of the biggest marketing mistakes that I've seen being made in the past. Other marketing mistakes that I have seen is not sort of seeking out that differentiation point of the dental practice itself and being able to, as I say, tell a story about yourself. And again, we were also talking about this and how if you don't know what that differentiation point is, you could very easily go into your reviews and testimonials and ask your patients, what it is that they like about being your patient. And right then and there, you're going to be able to actually get a lot of feedback as to what differentiates you. And I think one other mistake I've seen made quite a bit, I think those are my two top mistakes that I've seen made in marketing. They'll come back to me as we go through my 3 must-dos for social
Yes.
media success.
Yes, yes, no worries, no worries. And as my listeners know, I mean, differentiation is something I am always talking about. And as you know, we always we define your differentiation as your signature promise, being able to, or this is how I help my clients, being able to articulate who you are, how you're different, excuse me, who you are, how you can help, and how you're different than your peers. And I totally agree with you, Natalia, that this is like such a foundational part of your business, and the importance of having that strategy before diving into those tactics is gold. So,
Absolutely. So I just remembered another one.
oh
It's
yes.
not really honing down on your target audience, which should be part of that marketing strategy.
Mm,
And this, to be very specific, what I hear a lot is my target audience are all my patients. And that's not your target audience. Normally speaking, your target audience is that top 20% of patients that you actually really do want to see in your dental chair. It's that patient that you will answer the call for at, midnight, or you will text them because you want to find out how they are after surgery, for example. So having or honing down on your target audience is knowing that that top 20% of patients that you have coming into your dental practice, that is your target audience, and that is who you want to start talking to through social media or any other kind of marketing means. So many times the mistake itself is saying my target audience is everyone from 20 to 55 that needs dental work done, and it's not that.
right, right. I've never thought about it from that perspective of the top 20% of your best patients as being your target audience. How do you go about when you're meeting with someone brand new, sort of honing in on that target audience with them?
Many times it's about defining, as I said, those patients that you really enjoy working with, because those are the kind of patients that you want to continue attracting into your clinic. So it might be because either you're really good at a treatment, let's say you're a specialist, or you want to start specializing in a specific treatment. So you want to attract patients that are seeking for that specific treatment, or it's because you want a certain profile, lifestyle of patient as well. I'll give you an example. I have a dentist client of ours that specializes in a treatment that's called BioClear. It's a very unique treatment, especially here. I'm in Montreal, in Canada, and he's one of the only ones providing that right now in Montreal.
Yeah, I've never heard of
BioClear,
this.
you've never, okay. So what it does
No.
is that it actually closes gaps in between teeth, sometimes called black triangles,
Oh,
that are caused sometimes after braces. You can get some gaps or some black triangles in between teeth, or simply just having gaps in between teeth. And so it's a cosmetic solution. It's pretty much an alternative to veneers,
hmm.
but unlike veneers, it does not touch your natural dentition.
Okay.
So so it's very innovative. It's a very new technology. He is doing these cases, and so we defined it that he has a very specific target audience that is all around BioClear cases. So we've been doing a ton of before and after cases for him on his social media that are showing the kind of treatments that he does, a before and after. And we've been garnering a lot of attention from a specific profile of patients that have a lot of spaces in between teeth, and it's been doing really well.
Oh, that's fascinating. Okay, so we have to go down just a mini side note right here for anyone listening that has some spacing issues between the teeth. Is this something expensive? Is it
It
permanent?
is, it is permanent.
Okay.
It is permanent. It is not as expensive as, for example, braces, and it is
Mhm.
not as expensive as, for example, veneers. And again, the advantage here is that it does not touch your teeth, because what happens with veneers is that they do have to touch your teeth pretty much. They do have to change the shape of your teeth to
I
be
see.
able to put on top the veneers. So with this new treatment, BioClear, they don't have to do that. The dentist does not have to touch your teeth.
Oh, fascinating. So anyone listening that has a little bit of a gap in between their teeth, this
Or
could
black
be,
triangles.
there you go, or black
Yeah.
triangles. This could be an alternative. And I love that you've sort of defined his target audience
Mhm.
based on a specific modality that he's actually really good at doing. I see this quite often with clients I work with, that they'll do something very similar,
Mhm.
or even in like the marketing space. I mean, video is a modality to some degree, if you think of it like that. Facebook ads, which I know we're going to get into a little bit here, that's a type of modality if we think about it from that lens. And so
Mhm.
this idea of, you know, honing your target audience in based on something that you're really good at doing
Mhm.
is, yeah, I mean, it's common sense, but sometimes common sense isn't common practice, right? So,
Exactly. And
yeah.
again, I mean, when you define your target audience, you define it with a purpose in mind. And that purpose is to be able to actually speak their language, to be
Hmm.
able to have that person identify with you so that they're booking an appointment with you.
Yeah.
Right? So that you're happier as a dentist or as a medical practitioner, so that you have more of the patients that you actually want to serve.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So we're going to go into, let me just look at my notes here, these three must do's for social media success. So can we start with number one?
Absolutely. So first one is for social media to work as a revenue stream for your practice, it needs to be treated as a one part in a larger component called online marketing. So many times social media is seen as this silo thing, and I'm just going to get on social media and it's going to get me patients. And it doesn't work that way. It has
Right.
to work with your entire ecosystem, online ecosystem, so that your social media is supporting everything else. And as well, it has to be set up properly so that you can be converting followers into patients. I'm going to give you an example in just a second. The other thing that I always say is that what you want to do with anything online marketing that you're doing for a medical and a dental practice is to decrease any and all barriers that new patients may have in one, finding you online, and two, booking an appointment with your practice in an easy, convenient, and fast way. So I'm going to repeat that because that
Please.
is gold. Decrease any and all barriers new patients may have in one, finding you online, and two, booking an appointment with your practice in an easy, convenient, and fast way.
Yeah, I love
So
that.
that should be your main goal always with online marketing, or one of the main goals. Okay, decreasing those barriers.
Love that, love that. And what's interesting about that too, I'm sure you hear this a lot with your clients, is this idea like, I want more followers, I want more likes. And we talk about this being a vanity metric, which I totally agree. Excuse me. But in the way I like to think of it as well is followers and likes are a byproduct of a great social media presence. Um, I don't know. I went down this tangent. Something that you had said, I completely lost my train of thought there. But anyways,
Well, I'll jump on that. And I think maybe this is another mistake that a lot of doctors make is that I want more followers, and more followers mean more patients. And it doesn't necessarily mean
right.
that more followers are going to convert into new patients. I would rather see a doctor have a smaller following of more engaged people as part of their social media than a huge following and very low engagement and not seeing those conversions.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely agree with you. And I mean, even myself, I have a very small following on Instagram compared to some of these other people, but I talk to these people almost on a daily basis, at least on a weekly basis.
Hello. I feel like we
Exactly.
talk to each other every single day.
100%, 100%. And
Yeah,
so these are quality. I mean, obviously, we're not doing business in the same sense, but the people who are following me who do need help with their marketing,
right.
these are the quality type of followers that are going to help you with your business. But I cut you off because I know you said you had an example that you wanted
Right.
to
I did
share.
have an example, and it's around. So, what I had said is that you can't treat social media as this silo thing that you have. And it is one part of your overall digital ecosystem. So, the example I was going to talk about was virtual patient consultations, which became a big thing during COVID. If anyone hadn't started doing virtual patient consultations, a lot of my clients at least started doing that because there was no other option, and they still are doing it right now. So what happens with that is that, let's say you have your virtual patient consultation platform, and then what you want to make sure is that you have, let's say, various social media posts that are talking about, we have this alternative for our patients. That's how social media is going to help you out. Then, for example, you might have Google My Business. Also, you either set up your link on there, you create some posts on there, it's sending traffic back, right? Then, for example, the patient comes, has that virtual consultation with you, then you want to make sure that they book an appointment in clinic with you. Then you have to have a reminder in place, right? An appointment reminder, confirmation. So if you see that whole ecosystem of driving a patient from maybe being on social media all the way to actually booking an appointment with you, there was one part that was social media, and then the rest sort of like intertwine. So for example, your appointment reminder, you want to make sure that you have a system in place to be emailing them or texting them. Your website, when they go and book an appointment, as I said before, you want to make it easy for them. You want to make sure that it's super easy for them to actually book an appointment on your website. Or if they want to book an appointment with you on your Facebook page, that they could do that right away on your Facebook page, right? Because it's all about decreasing the barriers that new patients may have.
Yes, yes. I
So
think that's great, a great example and great advice because, you know, I think this is so bad, but as time goes on with technology and social media, I feel like our minds are like goldfishes, like 3 seconds, what's
oh
that?
yeah,
3 seconds, what's that?
absolutely.
And when you can make it seamless and quick, it
Mhm.
just makes the process so much better. So I'm glad you hit on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to give you a tip in just a second in terms of what you can do to make it easier for your followers
Okay.
to become new patients. But before that, if you're a dental practice or a doctor, you want to make sure that you pick the right platforms for your target audience. And you want to make sure that you're always, whenever you have social media, and I think you talk about this probably, you have CTAs, call to actions,
Sure.
on all of your social media posts to ensure that followers know what they're supposed to be doing in terms of booking an appointment, right? And in terms of picking the right platform, I don't know what you think about this, Milan, but in my opinion, less is more. So,
Oh,
what do
totally
I
agree.
mean with that?
Hands down.
You do not have to be on all social media platforms at once. I always recommend my clients, let's start off with one, maybe two. Let's become really good at those. Or
Yeah.
if someone is doing it by themselves, become really good, then move on to adding some other social media channels onto your mix.
What are your thoughts about also like the different functions or functions is a bad word, maybe verticals within social media? For example, Instagram, as we're recording this, just released recently Reels. And I
Yeah.
kind of feel the same process applies to this as well. Like, if you're not good at creating feed posts, if you're not good at stories, why are we hopping on Reels at the moment? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. I think it comes down to kind of one thing. Are you doing it yourself, or are you outsourcing your social media
Mm,
to someone who's a professional? If
yeah.
you're doing it yourself, then keep to one or two social media profiles or channels and learn first, for example, your posts and what works before going into stories and before going into reels. Although I love stories and I think everyone can do them. Um, but if you're outsourcing to pros, to do the professionals, I mean, to be doing your social media marketing, I would say have them hop on that because they're going to know what to do. You know,
Yeah.
they're going to know
Yeah.
what to do for you. And I think it's great to be able to innovate within the same vertical of the same social media platform,
Right.
which means Reels and this and this. And I'm going to talk very quickly about Reels
Oh, please.
later on and using Insta stories. So I was just saying that it's really important to choose the right platform for your practice, and maybe start off with, you know, Facebook or Instagram. Choose the one that you feel, honestly, it should be based on your target audience, where they hang out online the most. So that's, you know, something else. I have a bit of a tip here for you, which is on Instagram, something that you want to make sure that you do on pretty much, let me take a step back.
Sure.
Whatever social media channel you decide for your clinic, make sure that you cover your basics when you're setting it up, right?
Okay.
For example, on Instagram, you want to make sure that the title name is searchable, right? That you have optimized it for search, because it's the only searchable thing on Instagram, or it's one of the only searchable things. So I don't know if you knew this, I'm sure you did, Milan, but for a medical practice or dental practice, many times I will see names like, I don't know, Happy Healthy Smiles Clinic, right? That's the name that they have used on Instagram.
Sorry. I shouldn't be laughing, but it's just, you know, anyways, go ahead.
So I'm referring to the title right underneath the profile picture.
Right.
So they will use that, and this is what I like to call prime real estate. So instead of just saying Happy Healthy Smiles, why not add a location in there and the fact that you're a dental clinic, so that when someone is doing a search on their phone on Instagram and they put dental clinic in, for example, Toronto, you actually come up, right?
Oh,
so what I would
tip.
suggest is that you change it to, let's say, Happy Healthy Smiles dash, you know, clinic in Toronto.
Right. Right.
You
I
know,
love that.
maybe shorten that because that's a bit long, but you get my gist.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Yeah. The other tip I have, which is huge, is, you know, I'm sure everyone knows, maybe you don't know this, but on Facebook, you have a call to action button, and you do have an option to add a book an appointment button on there.
Okay, right.
And so a lot of people are not making use of this because they're afraid of, how do I monitor my Facebook? Like if someone is asking me they're requesting an appointment, how do I manage that?
Right.
And I would say, again, go back to the whole, you're trying to decrease barriers for your new patient. So if a new patient wants to book an appointment or request an appointment on Facebook with you, make it easy for them, right? Yes, you're going to have to set up a process to actually check if anyone is requesting an appointment on Facebook. But I mean, that should be part of saying I'm launching social media and I'm launching it and I'm going to be successful on social media. So that's another tip there on Facebook.
Oh, love that one. So I want to make sure, are we up to tip number 2?
We're getting into tip number 2.
Okay,
or
must do
number 2.
Yes, must do number 2. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the second thing, and these are big tips, right? These are big must-dos that have sort of like sub-tips in there.
Sure.
Number 2 is great organic social media posts and great Facebook ads. You actually need both. So nowadays you can't just be doing organic social media posts because the algorithm, unfortunately, will not be showing so much of your great organic social media posts to people. That's just reality right now. So you might want to have a support system, that's how I call it, and that's with Facebook ads. Okay, so you need both. And I think that if we start with the organic side of things, you want to make sure that you're winning at organic content, and that means a couple of different things. And I think you're really good at this, Milan. Number 1 is video, and more video.
Yes. Very important.
Very important to be creating video consistently. We see it in all the data that just video gets more and more views as time goes by. Also creating mobile first content. And so that means, vertical content. It means shorter videos even. You know, so making sure that you
Yeah.
think about the experience. I mean, everyone right now is on their phones, right?
Right.
So creating mobile first content is very important, and it's going to help you at winning at that organic content. And then Insta stories are absolute winners. So they're actually driving so much traffic back to Instagram profiles. And the reason for that, I always like to say, is because they're gone after 24 hours.
Right.
So it's almost like you want to know what's happening before it's gone, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So Insta stories are winners. So that's what we were talking about before.
Sure. All about that fear of missing out, you know?
Exactly, all
The
that
FOMO.
FOMO.
Yes.
Apart from that, live video is huge. Both Facebook Live and Instagram Live videos. Instagram Live videos recently allow you now to post it on IGTV. So that's another added vertical within Instagram, which I love. But then that actually brings up a point, which is you can repurpose so many different things, you know.
Sure. I
So
think people forget about that, the
they forget
repurposing
about
aspect. Yeah.
that. Yeah. And so they get overwhelmed with, oh my God, I have to create so much content. But you know what? You could actually be repurposing a lot of the great content you do. So here's an example. Let's say you go live on, let's say Facebook for now.
Okay.
Let's say Facebook, you go live on Facebook. You have a great video right there. Then you could download it from Facebook. Facebook now allows you to actually get clips from that Facebook Live. So you could actually take little, you know, parts of the video, maybe 30-second videos from that Facebook Live. So that's one piece of repurposing from that Facebook Live. You could download that Facebook Live. You could add it onto your Instagram profile as an IGTV video as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that's something else that you could do there, or you could even add it onto your YouTube channel if you have a YouTube channel. So that's, you know, different ways of creating or repurposing live video.
Sure,
So,
sure.
there you go. What else was I going to say? Insta stories, I think, amazing. They really show your raw, sometimes, and unedited sort of part of a doctor. And I would tend to say, use Insta stories very wisely. There's so much engagement on there. And if you use the right stickers, and I will talk about what stickers are, you could get so much engagement back from your prospective patients. You know, it could be something along the lines of just, I always talk about answering FAQs, and you could do it on an Insta story so quickly from your phone. Just actually add a sticker and say, I'm going to respond. Like, what are your questions, right? And then you respond to those questions via a 30-second video on your phone.
Right.
So,
Oh, that's great.
yeah, Insta stories are amazing.
Can I just say, oh,
yeah?
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say one thing really quick before I just forget this, because we were talking about repurposing, and I just wanted to add this one thing about repurposing. Anyone that's listening, and you don't need to love them, hate them, indifferent, doesn't matter. But Gary Vaynerchuk does a fantastic job at repurposing his content. Have you seen any of his videos, Natalia?
I have. Gary V.
Yeah, I know.
But
He's not.
I haven't looked into how he's repurposed them. Actually, I haven't done that.
So he created this blog post that I just wanted to share with everyone, which is really sort of an interesting process. I mean, it's simple, but interesting nonetheless. And basically, a lot of his live events, he'll do exactly what you were just talking about. He'll just put them in 30-second or 1-minute clips and literally sprinkle it across all of his social platforms. So he's not reinventing the wheel every single time, you know? So I just tossing that in related to our conversation with repurposing.
Absolutely. And one video can create so many different more shorter clips that can be used all throughout. So there you go.
Yeah. So anyways, you were talking about stickers.
Stickers, Insta stories, and then maybe we could talk a bit about Reels in just a bit, but I wanted to talk about Facebook ads.
Okay. Yes. Let's go into ads.
Ads. And we could honestly have a whole other conversation around Facebook ads and really go deeply into Facebook ads, but I'm going to not go there for today. I'm just going to talk a bit more about it. So here's the thing. This is how I feel Facebook ads could be working for you as a dentist or as a doctor. There's sort of two ways to it.
Okay.
One is you could be using them to boost some of your posts.
Mm-hmm.
And that is actually, I don't know, it's called sponsoring ads, right? It's not
Right.
the actual creation from scratch of an ad. It's called sponsoring your posts. And in my personal opinion, you should be doing that to get more reach, especially if you just got started with Facebook or with Instagram. And the way to do that, the best way is to actually select your best performers, not the worst one, the best ones, and actually boost them, okay, to get a bit more reach.
Question about that. When you're boosting
Mm-hmm.
the ad or the piece of content, I'm assuming you're boosting it to a very targeted audience versus just men and women, 20, 30 years that live in Montreal, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Right. Anyways, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So yeah, so maybe like 2 years ago, boosting an ad or boosting a post did not give you so many options as today. So
Mm-hmm.
today you could actually target a much more narrow audience. So that's what I would suggest, that you create an audience that you want to target with your post, that you want to have more reach, that you get more followers, that you get more eyeballs pretty much on what you're creating. And you do that by selecting the best posts, because normally people think, I'm going to boost my worst performing one. No. Facebook has already told you that worst performing one is not that popular. So, just
Right.
forget that one, go with the best ones. And those are the ones that are going to get the best results. So that's one way of seeing it.
And what's the second way? Yeah.
The second way is creating Facebook ads from scratch. And you have to put a bit of thought into that, I would say. And there's so many different options there. That's why I said we could actually create a whole new, category of video in that and really, dive deeply. But what I'm going to say about that is that they can do amazing things for you. You do have to get creative though with your ads to attract your ideal patient. There's something that I want to bring up, which is Facebook lead generation ads.
Okay.
Or actually creating a Facebook funnel very quickly.
Oh boy. Okay.
Oh boy.
Here we go. let's see the big picture, because well, go ahead.
Okay. So a Facebook funnel pretty much means taking a person that does not know your practice, mm-hmm. making sure that they become aware. So warming them up. It's called, you warm them up all the way until they're a warm lead. And then you try and put them through a funnel whereby you take them to a landing page where you ask a couple of questions to see if that person has an interest in booking an appointment with your practice. And there's all sorts of different ways to do this, different quizzes and questions. And then that person will respond. Your practice pretty much gets the name of the patient, right? Mm-hmm. And from then on, you could actually do an email sequence to that patient if you would want to, whereby you give them some more additional information, some blog posts, and then of course you're trying to get them to book an appointment. Okay, so this is a Facebook funnel because you take someone from completely being cold, they don't know you at all the way to getting warmer and warmer, all the way until they're comfortable with going and taking a quiz and providing you their information.
Now, for someone who's just starting out, I would imagine that the targeted sponsored content is probably a little bit of an easier way to sort of dip your feet into the water. Am I right on that? Or?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I mean, you could also do the targeted content sponsored ads, mm-hmm. as I just said, by boosting some of the posts. And you could also just run Facebook ads that are pure brand awareness ads. They're simply sending traffic back to, for example, your website. And that's it. Yeah. And then as you get more sophisticated, then you could add, the other layers of Facebook funnels, which I would recommend you outsource.
Sure. Yeah. When it gets complicated like that, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I totally agree with you. So let's move on to number 3 in our list here.
Absolutely. So it's just about planning and creating creating content, because the one secret to be successful, and I think everyone knows this, is that you need to be consistent and be sharing valuable, attention-grabbing, and intentional content to be able to get results. And the only way to do this is to really plan ahead of time.
Do you have any tips in terms of, because we all get lost sometimes, I feel, in the minutia of our day-to-day things that we have to get done. Any tips for someone to help them get like better at planning and being more intentional with their social?
So a couple of tips I would say is that you need to have maybe some guidelines of content categories, no more than 5 or 6 content categories. So come up with those 7 content categories that you want to make sure that you're continuously going back to them. My other tip is you plan ahead. You plan your month ahead of time, you know, and you're almost following those content categories. So let's say you could start off with before and after case photos, FAQs for patients, an educational post. Then you talk about a treatment, then, you know, with staff or whatever. And those can be your content categories. And so if you're planning ahead of time, you're thinking about, okay, what's my BNA case? What's my FAQ? What's my educational, et cetera, et cetera. You're actually planning it out with a calendar in front of you. I think it's the only way to actually do it, to put it in place and actually schedule your posts ahead of time. That gives you a bit of freedom. Let's say that if something is occurring during the month, yes, you could take out your phone, you could take a picture, you could post it on Insta stories. If it's great, you could post it as a post, but at least you know that you're covered. You have covered all of your basics, and you know that you're talking to your ideal target audience as well.
Absolutely. You know, I have to tell you something funny. So I struggle sometimes with planning my social media calendar out because, again, I can personally say I get lost in the day-to-day minutia. So my latest thing that I've been experimenting with, which I'm seeing really good results with, not to toot my own horn, but Postit Notes. Literally like writing down what am I going to talk about on Monday? What am I going to talk about Tuesday? And I love the different colors as well, because they really help you. I feel, you know, when you're talking about content buckets, okay, so pink is content bucket number 1, blue is content bucket number 2, and really being able to see that whole planning process out there. Yeah.
The other thing also, to your point, is you have to get into the habit of taking out your phone and taking photos and creating.
Oops. Natalia, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, we had a little internet connection there. Why don't you pick it back up from the thing you were saying? The other thing you need to take into with your phone.
Right. The other thing to take into consideration is to always be creating content on your phone, or always be capturing photos, always be doing videos. Like, get into the habit of that. Documenting your before and after cases. Oh, huge. This is such a huge thing. I can't stop talking about before and after cases and how they're so important for social media and to really get results and attract new patients. So it's getting into the habit of just grabbing those moments on your phone, and then you go back to your content. What did you call them?
Content buckets.
Buckets, exactly. And then you could actually, you know, put them in the different folders or your different content buckets that you have.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So let's recap real quick, just so because we covered so much today. But the must-dos, the 3 must-dos. Number 1 was what again?
So number 1 is treating your social media as one part of your larger marketing component. So it's almost like, think about that marketing strategy in there and how social media is going to help you with your results, and knowing that you're trying to decrease barriers for your new patients in all different ways. Okay, so that's one. That's a big one. Number 2 is you need great organic social media posts, and you also need Facebook ads to be able to support them. And number 3 is just plan and create your social media content ahead of time.
Again, I mean, I think we spoke about we've been speaking so much, I can't even recall if we said this on my podcast or on your video or your YouTube video show. I can't even speak today for some reason. But this idea of, just because it is, makes sense doesn't mean people are actually doing it in practice. And I think these tips are so universal to anyone listening right now to
Great.
really remind yourself, okay, am I checking these boxes as I'm continuing to progress through my online marketing?
Absolutely. And I have a final tip for everyone.
Oh, please, yes.
And it's around scheduling your posts, which is
Okay.
what I was saying. Um, there is a great free tool created by Facebook that you could use, everyone can use to post things onto Facebook and Instagram. And it's called Facebook Creator Studio.
Oh, love it.
I absolutely love it. So you could schedule all of your posts. You could cross post as well from Instagram to Facebook or Facebook to Instagram. And you get a lot of analytics on there as well. So I would really encourage everyone to go and check it out. It's free. And that's a great way to start planning ahead of time.
Yeah, I really love Facebook Creator Studio. I'll link to it in the show notes, guys, so you can easily access it. But it's super simple to use. So, and I think they just changed their interface. Natalia, did you see the new rollout on
I
your
did.
end?
I didn't. No, I haven't.
Oh, well,
But I
it's
haven't
coming.
seen any more day. You know.
It's coming on its way. Sometimes they release it differently at different times in different countries. So we'll see. But wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Natalia, for your time. Can you tell people where they can find a little bit more about you?
Of course. So they could go and find us on Instagram, NP Digital Marketing. We have a fantastic YouTube channel with tons of tutorial videos on there. It's called NP Dental on YouTube, or on our website, NP Digital Marketing as well, digitalmarketing.com. So that's where you can find us.
Wonderful. I will link to all of those in the show notes. And as I was telling Natalia earlier when we were talking, I actually discovered her through her YouTube videos. She gives great tips and great advice on her program there. So even if you're not a dentist listening or have a dental practice, I highly recommend checking her out and some of those tips there. Universal for sure.
Thank you so much, Milan. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you, Natalia. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.